While strolling on the sun-drenched granite walkway, not far from the Peace Tower, in the distance I noticed two geometric shapes. As I drew nearer, the circular form was filled with teddy bears of various sizes, whereas the rectangle presented countless pairs of worn-out shoes of different sizes and colors. My eyes rested on a pair of girls' white patent shoes shining in the noon sun. 215 pairs of worn-out shoes. Each pair stood for an Indigenous child buried in an unmarked grave. 215 pairs of shoes beckoned me to come closer, and as I did, I heard their whispering, "Walk in these shoes, and you will experience the impenetrable darkness we were subjected to." The silent beat of the metaphorical drums reverberated within me as the whispering continued. Since time immemorial, our ancestors freely walked on our land, yet in a blink of an eye we were buried in terra nullius. This latest tragic discovery saddens me. The lack of concrete actions from governments and church leaders disappoint me. I grieve for the historical illiterateness and indifference of the majority of Canadians. An apology, potentially wrapped in monetary foil, will only temporarily alleviate the communal pain and will eventually be forgotten. Concrete, sustainable actions must be taken that will lend sincerity to the words. We all need to participate in restoring the duality of soul and dignity that was taken away from the Indigenous children and their kin. This duality can be found in the ethnological graveyards of the colonialists, beginning with the Pope's Museum. This museum has a treasure of Indigenous artifacts from all over the world, a worthy representation of Indigenous cultures. The artifacts of the New World from the pre-Columbian to the post-colonial era are of particular importance. I became aware of this immense collection many years ago during one of those innocuous visits to the Pope's Museum.
Through a series of actions by 2014, I was able to obtain a verbal approval from the Ethnological Department for a touring exhibit of 88 selected artifacts from the thousands that are preserved in the museums. The pieces would span the Indigenous art from Nunavut to Terra del Fuego. Soon thereafter, I was informed by the then director of the museums that the project was not feasible for logistical and less clear financial reasons. This reversal led me to seek support from the Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops and from Pope Francis. The former responded thus, quote, "The project, interesting and instructive as it may be, cannot be undertaken or supported by the Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops, given the nature of the conference itself, its scope, function, and mandate," end quote. Whereas from the latter, quote, "While it is laudable for every country to deepen appreciation of its past so as to better understand its historical and cultural heritage, I regret that it is not possible for the Vatican Museum to assist with the proposal." End quote.
We must act in unison and petition He who heads the Catholic Church to admit to the social cultural aggression and domination inflicted on the Indigenous people. With the ever-increasing awareness of the almost erasure of the Indigenous way of life, The act of opening the chest without embroilments is timely. The artifacts in the Pope's Museum provide a bridge that spans the river of tears. On one shore the past and its centuries-old lore, and on the other the future and the healing journey of reckoning. The indigenous artifacts reside mostly incognito alongside European high art, exemplified by Michelangelo's Pietà, that evocative sculpture of Mary's anguish for her child's death recalls no less the sufferings of the mothers of the 215 indigenous children. I heard a bystander say, "I'm beginning to understand what it means for a mother to lose her child." These historical works of art will generate a critical dialogue that will assist in dispelling misunderstandings and possibly result in the act of cultural restitution. Completely opening the treasure chest and announce it urbi et orbi by he of the white cassock will be an illuminating gesture to the indigenous people of the world, and in particular to the 215 missing children, that they have not been ignored. The sun had by now set on the girl's white patent shoes. Its wearer was nowhere to be seen. I looked up and imagined her floating on the billowing white cloud of the sky world, going towards the many other missing children. The agony continues.